2022 was a solid year for games, which saw the releases of behemoths like Elden Ring and God of War Ragnarok. It wasn't exactly the best year for me personally, however. There were only a few games I really enjoyed last year. In this video, I'm going to be ranking every single game I played in 2022, from worst to best, and giving a score for each of them. And I just so happen to have played exactly 10 new games last year, which makes for a nice even numbered list. Again, these are just the games that I played last year, so not all of them were necessarily released last year. And I didn't play every major release, so please keep that in mind. So without further delay, please enjoy. The newest edition of the Valkyrie RPG series by Tri-Ace was a major disappointment. I haven't played much of this series in the past, so I didn't really have any preconceived expectations from this game, but I can only feel bad for the fans of the franchise. No amount of love was put into this game. If you're looking for a story to get invested in, you certainly won't find one here. The upgrade and progression systems are lame and seem to be forced in. Enemies and areas repeat over and over, and there's just not much to do other than fight. The battle system has its fun moments here and there, but overall just stay away from this one. There are better games out there. 5 out of 10. I've already made a whole ass video complaining about my disappointment with this game, so I'll keep this brief. This game sucks ass. 6 out of 10. What the hell happened to Star Ocean? I feel like the series peaked at Star Ocean 3 and 4 and then underwent a massive downgrade after 5. Star Ocean 6 is better than 5, don't get me wrong, but it's nowhere near the level of quality we had back then. Okay then, let's start positive. I thought the characters and their designs were entertaining. I also think that the gameplay, while not as good as the previous games, was decent enough. I especially enjoy how the SOA minigame ties into actual battles, by giving very useful and necessary accessories to equip. Unfortunately, that's all the credit I can give. Everything else is just a major disappointment. The frame rate, the glitches during battle, the underwhelming side quests and progression systems, even the unique elements to this series are worse here overall, like how tedious item creation is, or how dumb the party AI is during battles. Did I mention that there isn't a single good boss fight in this game? They really need to get their shit together for the next game. 6.5 out of 10. Wow, 2022 was the year that just keeps on giving, wasn't it? Soul Hackers 2 was probably the most disappointing game last year. While it's a better game than the previous entries on this list, this is an SMT game, and it's just average. That's possibly the worst thing that can ever be said about an SMT game, since they're known to be anything but that. The only things that carry this game are the art style and the boss fights. Everything else is just boring and tedious. Especially the dungeons and the soundtrack. Everything unique about this series is gone as well. Demon negotiations now suck, and weakness targeting seems to be the only viable strategy in battle. Even the fusion system is limiting. The entirety of the game also just feels slow, with loading screens at every turn and very slow movement speed. They fixed these issues in the patch, but me and most people finished this game way before that. So it doesn't really matter now, does it? 7 out of 10. And now we're on to the last disappointment of 2022. I promise this video will be much more positive after this. Digimon Survive is another game I've already fully reviewed, so to summarize, this game could have really been something special. But it's held back by a lack of meaningful decisions to be made during the story mode and a lot of repetitive and boring scenarios. The gameplay, while fun, felt very sluggish most of the time. 7.5 out of 10. Oh look, an actual good game. Final Fantasy Origins doesn't exactly have the best narrative, but it makes up for it by having some of the best combat in a Souls-like game to date. Bear in mind, I'm not a Final Fantasy fan, so the fan service of having familiar monsters, music, and locations has no effect on me. I just think that this game offers a great time with its vast variety of different playstyles and some excellent boss fights. If it had a better story and maybe allowed us to create our own custom character, this might have been one of the best Souls-like games out there. 8 out of 10. I never really played the original The World Ends With You, so I didn't really know what to expect when jumping into this game. What I got was one of the most addicting and unique battle systems I've ever experienced in a game. My favorite part is collecting pins and seeing what crazy attack they unleash in battle. The game gives you a big pool of attacks to choose from, so combat never gets old as it's always evolving. I'm also very big on games that let you collect stuff and track your progress. Seeing my slowly ever growing collection of outfits, pins, food, and the like every now and again is very satisfying. The soundtrack is also masterful, the characters are all very fun and memorable, and all their voice actors fit them perfectly, and as you probably noticed, the game's art style is like candy for your eyes. 9 out of 10. It's Yakuza fused with Persona 5. Of course it's going to be good. You got turn-based combat, social stats, tests, a hideout with Persona 5 music, dating multiple women and eventually getting caught. They really weren't trying to hide the fact of just straight up turning Yakuza into Persona, were they? But honestly, it just works. Yakuza elements are still here, of course, with a bajillion sub-stories and minigames. The story and characters are also very engaging, even from the start, and the battle system is addicting with its various classes to choose from. There is one little thing about this game that bugs me, and that is that I think it has a lot of fat and unnecessary elements that need to be cut. You don't need an entire lame-ass predictable side story for the extra kart racing minigame. You don't need an entire side story for the stupid business minigame, let alone make an NPC from that minigame a playable character. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but I prefer a more focused experience. Despite all that, I still think that this is one of the best Yakuza games out there. 9 out of 10. What more can I say about Elden Ring that hasn't already been said? The game attained unimaginable success and even won Game of the Year. Very well deserved in my opinion, of course. This is a game that will be remembered for decades to come. So of course it's this high on my list. Some of you are probably wondering why it isn't number 1. It had incredible world and dungeon design, featured a wide variety of different playstyles, and offered a seemingly endless amounts of content. There's just one big problem I have with this game: the difficulty. This is by far the most frustrating Souls game I've ever played. I experienced more bullshit, unfair deaths in this game more than every other Souls and Souls-like games I played combined. The bosses suffer the most from this, leading to Elden Ring having some of the worst bosses in Souls history. And then there's the insane amount of damage dealt by enemies. Having almost every attack from Godfrey one-shot me is not my idea of a good time. Even with all these issues, however, Elden Ring is still a fantastic game that I think everyone should experience. 9.5 out of 10. And now for my Game of the Year, a game that I will remember for the rest of my life. The Somnium Files, Nirvana Initiative, is the second game in the visual novel series developed by Kotaro Uchikoshi, the same guy who's made the Zero Escape series. Now why the hell would I rank a silly little detective visual novel game over frickin' Elden Ring of all things? Simple. I genuinely believe that the story, or rather the storytelling of this game, is genius. It's truly unlike anything that you'll ever experience. And what's more is that it shows how video games can break the boundaries of what is and isn't possible for storytelling. This is a story that can't be experienced in any other format. Unfortunately, I can't say much more than that without giving away spoilers. All I can say is that if you haven't played this game yourself yet, please give it a shot sometime. I would recommend starting with the first game if possible, which is just as good as the sequel. Uniqueness is not all it has to offer, of course. It has an engaging story, well-written and entertaining characters, a great soundtrack, and improved puzzle sequences since the first game. Of course, this game is an easy 10 out of 10 for me. And that does it for my games of 2022. Let me know what you think about my list and feel free to drop your own list in the comments below. And thanks again for watching.